Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here in Cannes. Today, we're gonna talk about how the DeFi ecosystem in Etherlink is growing up so far. A few words about Etherlink for those who just joined us. So Etherlink is an application layer that is EVM compatible. It's part of the smart rollup. To be clear, it is not a L2 of Ethereum, it's a L2 of the Tezos blockchain. We believe the security model for Tezos is as good as the one for Ethereum, to be at least. We've been building this layer 2, this EVM compatible layer 2. It's been built, it's been ready technically for about a year, I would say. And it really picked up in interest and usage since the months of March this year. So we had a big pickup in TVL. We're about 50 now, thousands of monthly active users, quite a few dApps here. And we're here to talk about like what makes a DeFi ecosystem. So we invited dApp developers. There's Dimitri here, built a super advanced central limit order book entirely on chain, including the matching engine. So it's quite an engineering feat. And you could do that on Etherlink because Etherlink is fast, 500 millis block. It's fair, first come, first serve, and it's very cheap. So it's very, it's very geared towards like high performance applications such as Hanji. We also have a representative of Uniswap here. So Uniswap is actually coming to Etherlink as well. And we also invited David Ryan, who's our head of growth, and we have the honor to have Pablo from Merkle here. And I think David and Pablo, I think are important participants to this because when you scale a DeFi ecosystem, Nomadic Labs and Trilitex have some levers they can pull, so it's not like we plan because it's permissionless, obviously everybody can build on Etherlink. But we have a few levers, we have a Discord and we have a Twitter, so we have a voice. So we also have hackathons, for instance, as Beata announced, and grants program. But we also can run incentive programs, and it's a very powerful lever. But it has to be run in a particular way. It's not very straight. You can run that intelligently or not. There's also the execution of this is hard. We invited Merkle, which I think is really the incentive layer, basically, of the VM world. Without further ado, I think I'm going to let each of our participants introduce themselves very quickly, just say what the project is. Well, I think Uniswap is pretty famous, but I'm sure you can you can say a bit more about yourself in a few sentences to start with. We just do a swipe of the.
Sure thing. Hey everybody, I'm Joe with Alpha Growth. We are one of the growth partners of the Uniswap DAO, and we were part of the team that was able to bring Uniswap over to Etherlink. And if anyone's not familiar with Uniswap, it's considered one of the OG protocols, if not the OG protocol in the space, and it is the liquidity layer of the internet, as it were. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's Dmitry. I'm building Hanji, which is a fully on-chain order book DEX on Etherlink. So we are fully on-chain, so we're fully composable and decentralized. We are happy to be on Etherlink, which brings very fast and cheap transactions to us. And we are also a full central limit order book matching engine, so meaning that we preserve full price and time priority. And we provide best spreads on TezUSD pairs and some others as well.
Hello, I'm David. I do DeFi growth at Trilitech, and I mainly work on Etherlink. Work very closely with Pablo and David over here on the incentive side of Etherlink, where we have run Apple Farm for now 3 months, and we're going to continue to do so. So excited to get into it.
I'm Pablo, co-founder of Merkle. Merkle, we are an incentive and point management platform. We help chains like Etherlink execute their on-chain incentive programs to overcome the initial like chicken and egg issue you have when you're like launching a chain. You may have the best tech in the world. No one will use it if no other people use it. And Merkle is here to make it like straightforward for chains to go to the point where they get some real usage.
Thanks. Thank you. Maybe a question for Uniswap here. Because we're talking about incentives right now. I think you ran an incentive. You're running an incentive program for UniV4 and UniChain at the moment. So, like, how did you come to decide to run an incentive program, and how are you running it? What are the hurdles you're facing doing that?
Yeah. Happy to speak to the end that I can here. One of the main incentive distribution partners that is being used by the DAO and the foundation is Gauntlet, and they're handling all the incentive distribution. I believe quite a bit of that is through Merkle as well.
Yeah, all of it.
All of it. There we go. Yeah, one-stop shop right here. Talk to this guy, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, basically just fairly vanilla pairs and a lot of V4 incentivization, because what we found pretty quickly was although Uniswap V4, which for anybody that doesn't know about what this is, it essentially is programmable liquidity pools. So it gives you a way to access all kinds of new capital efficiency means. And the issue with that, it's a beautiful piece of technology, but the problem is each individual V4 instance is essentially its own protocol. And so you, of course, run into the cold start problem of each cool piece of technology being spun up. Now we need an incentive program essentially for each of these specific V4 instances. And so we're having to wear a little bit more of like a venture hat when it comes to which V4 instances are going to deserve a long-term bet. Hopefully that answers at least some of the questions, but that's the way we're thinking about it.
Yeah, I see. Dimitri, how hard is it to build an entirely on-chain club? And also, like, what benefit does it bring to be like entirely on-chain, including the matching order? Because it sounds like very difficult to do. That's a question I wanted to ask you. Right?
Yeah, sure. So there are a few issues on why clubs were not really on-chain before. So first issue is like expensive gas prices and slow chains. So this is largely solved by Etherlink. And second issue is that order matching is pretty tough. So we had basically to reinvent the order matching algorithm to be suitable on chain. So in fact, we have like logarithmic instead of linear complexity for matching orders, which allows us to basically match any number of orders on chain, which is quite cool. And to the second question regarding the why do we need to be on chain? So being on chain is really important. It brings two important things. So the first one is decentralization, because once you're fully on chain and you don't have like off-chain matching, you have basically the same security guarantees as the chain itself, which is Etherlink and Tezos, which are very decentralized and never cut corners on this. And secondly, and maybe even more importantly, is composability. Because once you're fully on chain, you can really embrace the DeFi Lego things, so you can fully integrate with other apps. So first of all, you can integrate with DEX aggregators and DEX routers, because you're fully on chain, so you can execute trades as simple and atomic as Uniswap does. But we can provide more granular pricing because we provide like 6-digit accuracy, which is closer to the accuracy you can get on centralized exchanges. And some other benefits of composability is that it's really easy to build other products on top of it. So imagine like a fund which runs on Binance. He still needs some Lego structures in order to preserve like customer money. But if you want to build similar things on Hanji, you can just write a smart contract to do it. So this is really a huge unlock. And you also can use this contract as a collateral in other protocols, like we've experimented with Superland and some others. So, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. So there's always this debate between like AMM versus club. What's better? Is there space for both of them, or are there some use cases that are like AMM that will stay AMM forever, or some of them that are like more like a sex-like experience with the club? Like, what are you guys' point of view on this? Like, both of you.
Yeah, so I think AMMs are really cool that they allow users to provide liquidity passively, which is like a huge unlock in bringing new liquidity and bootstrapping new markets. I think clubs can dominate in more established markets where you can actually provide very tight spreads. And here we can outcompete AMMs because we also have both price and time priority on order matching. So I'd say AMMs would probably would still dominate the newer markets, like new token launches and things like this. But I hope that we can get a big part of the market when it comes to like more blue chip tokens and leverage trading.
In a way, with AMMs, you can replicate probably less efficiency what clubs do. Like in concentrated liquidity dexes, you can put like out of range liquidity that mimics what an order would look like in a club. You may not have the same granularity, but still, like you can, if you want to be really active, it's gas inefficient and everything, but you can achieve the same outcome, I believe.
Yes. So first is granularity is much better on our club, in fact. So we can always quote inside the AMM, inside the AMM smallest tick. Which is good. So if the DEX routing is fair, then we can always win the flow if we want. And secondly, we have price and time priority, meaning that the maker who posts the codes first will always get executed first. So it creates more competition between makers, so they're incentivized to post as tight as possible.
Yeah, you can also effectively LP in Hanji in a way because they have like community market making vaults. So that's another one.
One super quick thing I'd add. Yeah, definitely no disagreements there. I think Coke and Pepsi, and based on the sophistication of a specific trader or an LP, I think that's going to depend on what you want to do, and then also optionality can lead to, the choice opportunity is opportunity in and of itself, and the difference between that leads to arbitrage. Arbitrage leads to volume and volatility, and that keeps the economic flywheel going in a sense. So I think having multiple options depending on risk appetite and how sophisticated someone is, I think they're both going to exist for different reasons.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's why we have both as well on Etherlink, and we hope that more dexes are going to more dexes either established or more like community driven, innovative will come to Etherlink shortly. David, so you've been running the Apple Farm program. There's a lot of things to do, a lot of things to consider. But you also have a marketing background, like you're big on Twitter. So how do you balance the sort of like the KPI way of thinking, the very analytical way of thinking about the incentive program, but also like more public like sentiments? Like so how do you switch between those two mindsets?
Yeah, it's a super good question. I'll start off by giving a quick background into what Apple Farm is and how it works for the people that don't know. Essentially, it's an incentive program that is running on Merkle, where we give out rewards to DeFi, basically. So using DeFi on Etherlink gives you added yields, and those rewards are distributed through Apple Farm with Merkle's backend running it all. That could be supplying liquidity on Iguanadex, Oku, trading on Hanji, but also even owning uranium. So buying and owning uranium gives you added yield through Apple Farm as well, which is really cool. So on the data side, the question of how you balance that data and the iterative design, the thing that's really good about how Merkle works is that we have a setup where every 2 weeks we iterate on the rewards that we create. So we call this episodes or epochs. So we have 2 week-long epochs where we set up how much rewards are being distributed for over each opportunity for these 2 weeks. And then we look at what happens with them, what are the yields, how much TVL is in each opportunity, and then we sit down and debate for way too long every single time about what should be increased, what should be decreased, to basically iterate and get the best return. Because what we don't want to do is that we don't want to sit down and pay a crazy high yield for only a few 100K of TVL when we know we can get more TVL elsewhere. And on the sentiment side, I think it's one thing I've been doing is that I've been myself tweeting a lot and talking to a lot of people about why we're changing different rewards. So like, why are we decreasing this thing? Because there's always one angry guy who was LPing on BTC XDC who's like, why did my rewards get decreased? Because we're paying 150%. It's not sustainable. But this transparency has really helped. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, so incentive programs are complicated things, and like every incentive program is different. Like Merkle is here to just like super agilely, like, adapt to things, help, advise, and it's been fantastic to work with Merkle. And I'm a massive fan of Merkle. I've been trolling you on social media. You don't know it's me, but I was, Merkle is a different. Yes, I wanted to ask you because like you're at the center really of this incentive, the incentive design space. Like it's like for you to play on. Like, what are the trends that you're seeing now? What are the things that are being abandoned? Things that are getting promoted now? And also like how do you think about the because you want to achieve peak TVL when you do an incentive program, so you put it in incentive TVL peaks. And after that, of course, like the retention rate, so what lives after the incentives program is not really for you to solve, but I think you're a very good observer of that. So I'd love to share some of your insights on those questions.
So, one thing we're noticing first is that the most efficient programs are not the most complex ones. Very often teams tend to do like some convoluted stuff where with different like layered and thresholds of rewards, they want to do this, but as soon as you add complexity, you add the possibility to be gamed. And when you're distributing money, incentives and rewards, like people are ready to spend the time to try to game the system. And the more complex you do, like the more like entries for gaming, like the reward system. So like we're kind of to try to advocate against like things that are too complex. It doesn't mean that you cannot target a lot of different protocols, but in terms of the reward structure and who is eligible and stuff, the easier the better. And Etherlink, it's quite easy, I believe, in the way it's designed. It's like LP, you earn apples, and that's it. Like there is no like, hey, get a boost for doing this, and you have. If you do this on Twitter, you get a 10%. Like there are always flows in these systems. The other trend that we are noticing, it's people decoupling like the reward score with the real like monetary like token rewards you'll be able to get. So it's kind of like points-like systems, which Etherlink is doing. Like Etherlink is like you guys with the Apple File systems, you are distributing apples, but these apples are not immediately mapping to Tezos rewards. We are working with some other protocols which are distributing wrapped versions of their tokens, meaning like people can get the rewards, but they need to vest it for some time. So it kind of, when you're doing incentive systems, many people are just launching their token, and very often like tokens are correlated to the TVL. And as you said, like you often tend to get peak TVL when you are throwing the incentives. But if the value of these incentives decreases because people are just dumping them while you are doing the program, then it kind of makes it inefficient. With Euler is doing this typically. They're distributing a wrap version of their token where you vest the rewards. And so this enabled them like to limit the sell pressure on their token while TVL grew. And now that people can actually sell their token rewards from rewards they earned like 6 months ago, well, they don't mind because the token value appreciated because of the increased TVL. So there are many smart tricks like this. And this one, like with the Euler precedent, and all the point systems tend to be like quite efficient. And so, yeah, it's important. Then when it comes to how can you like maximize retention, how can you make sure that TVL remains, it's true, like if I distribute 100K a day on a pool or 100K, 150% APR, many people will go to some other opportunity if they no longer have the incentive. the programs that for us achieve the greater, like the best retention are the programs which are permanent programs funded by actual revenue or actual like buybacks of some protocols. So Aave is doing this typically. They have this program, this system called Merit, where they are basically distributing revenue from the Aave DAO in a more granular way than what they are doing in a like fully automated way with the Aave protocol, where like 8 tokens get a rebasing yield. And having some form of system that lasts forever and that is kind of like something that can loyalty mechanism in a way that's a sustainable loyalty mechanism. This is what is most efficient, and this is what allows you to tweak who you are rewarding and what kind of healthy behaviors you want to reward. So yeah, but we are observers in this, but we are not like providers of the strategy in this program. We do have like strong recommendations in terms of what works and what doesn't. But the space is always evolving. And it's kind of a very important skill set, and you guys, especially David, has been nailing it in how like incentives have been like flowing around with the Etherlink, because I believe the return on investment so far on the program is quite good.
Yes.
Yeah, and actually, some of these ideas, I mean, in particular, the RXTZ that you mentioned, I mean, this is something that we really want to.
It's interesting. You talked about the sort of the problems that people run into. They try to make it too complicated or whatever. And I think we're at fault of that ourselves for some of the things with the net lending stuff. We've been going a bit back and forth, and we've
net lending is normal. Like it's not complicated.
Right, but we come back to the simpler solution where we should have just done a vault, right? We wouldn't have to talk about this for 3 months. And also with the reward structure that you mentioned, how Euler does it, which is the inspiration for how we're going to do it in season 2. So this sort of evolvement, or how seeing Euler's success with their reward structure has been quite good, because now we can change it up.
And yes, he did say season 2. Yes. Sure. Well, one last swipe for all of you. If you had to remove a blocker, remove a blocker that's been there with a magic wand, like the previous moderator said, like what would it be? Like what would be the sort of the shortcut to a brighter future for you? Not necessarily something that you can do, but like if a blocker was removed, which one would you want gone? All of you.
I think licensing in general. I think protocols, I understand capitalism is awesome, but I feel like the spirit of decentralization somewhat is lacking in certain protocols. Will say, we can't launch certain products until we open up the license to other people, and I think that kind of goes against the thesis of why a lot of us are here. So I think it's not the biggest blocker, but I'd say that that's the first thing that came to mind.
Maybe regulation. It's getting much better in the recent days, but still. And on RAMs, I think still pretty expensive. So, yeah.
I'm going to be boring and very broad here. I think UX as a whole is still terrible. I think it's very hard to do different stuff. My mom will probably watch this back and ask, what is Apple Farm? I didn't understand anything. And she never will be able to use this stuff. I still think UX is quite bad overall. Hopping chains, left and right, swapping tokens. There's a lot of good aggregator stuff now. Like we just got Jumper on board on Etherlink, for example. Something I'm very happy about because I use them a lot, just because it's easy. But I want to see more of this. And I think in 5 years' time, even, if we come back and sit here again, it will look very different on this side.
And I'd say fragmentation. It's similar to like the UX stuff, but there is so much liquidity for the samples, but spread around different chains. And there are a lot of market inefficiencies, like aggregators are not always fully efficient. Like when routing trades from one token to another. And if we only had like one big liquidity pool, or multiple liquidity pools, but super well aggregated, we would pay lower slippages and lose less money when transacting around. So, and as a whole, it will be better, I guess.
Thanks everybody. I think it's time to wrap up, roughly. So I mean, I'd say, so thanks to all the participants. We could hear from the dApps and the incentive part of the start of the bootstrap of Etherlink. I think we're gonna enter a new phase in the development of Etherlink very soon. So that new phase will definitely include people who are already on Etherlink. But we have a lot of new protocol coming, lot of new protocols coming. So we have like big hitter cross-chain protocols coming to Etherlink, and I think that's because I think that's part of the plan is to really like open the gate to the EVM community, which is also why we're here in Cannes today, because ECC here. I think so. Season 2 as well is going to start somewhere in July. But more than another reward program, really, I think it's just qualitatively a bit different because it's the phase now where we get a lot more composability because we'll get more protocols, so more things to do for the users. And we already have the main building blocks because we have DEXs, several DEXs. We have a lending protocol, Superland. I'm sorry, Superland couldn't join today because the visa system is not exactly fast, fair, and almost free, unlike Etherlink. So we couldn't have Superland, but we do obviously have a lending protocol which fosters composability because it's the core of the building a DeFi ecosystem, is to allow composability between protocols. So we have, of course, like a lending and a DEX. But in season 2, I think that we're going to have like an expansion of the universe of protocols available to allow compatibility, and some of them come from the EVM world, like names for sure, right? Get Jumper Exchange, Lombard, things like that. Thanks for everyone. So stay tuned on Etherlink because there's another phase of growth is in front of us, and I hope we'll make the best of it. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.